Hello class, this is a short video clip tutorial to accompany topic 2, and all I'm doing here is to demonstrate the execution of a particular Java program which copies a file, and I'm going to show you the code in a moment, but what I'd like you to notice at the moment is that the file called out.txt is empty, and I'll show you. I'm going to save it as an empty file, and I'm going to also show you another file, which I believe I've got it here. It's called Gutenberg.txt, and the file looks like this, and it's a long file, and it's a description of part of British history around about 1066, and it's very interesting. So if you so like a free ebook for you, but unfortunately it's just plain text. So I'm going to close that down now and quickly show you the contents of this Java file. So I've got a public class called CF, and its definition ends at this second bracket here. And we're going to discuss streams, I think it's this afternoon. And what I'm going to do is to create two new streams. I'm going to create a file input stream, and the way in which I do that is just write new next to it and assign the result to a variable called fin. And what it's going to do is to look at this location. So it's my C drive users Chris desktop archive 2. And here we are, we've got the file that I want to be copied called Gutenberg text. And the second file, which I want to be copied into, is a file called desktop archive 2 forward slash out.txt. What I'm going to do to enable this program to fill this file here, I'm going to create a file output stream. So hopefully we've got some kind of handle on what output streams and input streams are from today's session. And I'm going to call the variable that's assigned this new object fout, file out for short. And I've got a little bit of code here which essentially involves just about 4 or 5 lines. And what I'm doing here is to declare buff to be an array of bytes, 16 bytes, and that's how I do it, and we'll go through that again a bit later on. I'm declaring n to be an integer variable, and whilst n is the number of bytes that I've read from buffer, and whilst it's not equal to -1, which indicates if n is equal to -1, it means there's nothing left in the file, and we jump out of this while loop. So what this method does, read buffer, it's actually going to return a number of bytes read and assign it to the integer variable n. So I'm going to do that until there's nothing more to be read. And uh, and what I'm the action involved in the while loop is simply to write the contents of which I've just received to fout. So this is a stream connected to the output file that I've mentioned already. And when all that's done, because it's only going to take a fraction of a second to do, I'm actually going to print the message done. So I'll just show you just run this for you and demonstrate that I think it has actually done what it's supposed to do. I run the file, so I click on run, click on run again, and that's it. Done. So there's nothing there, nothing visible on the screen. But what it should have done is to copy this rather large file onto the empty file. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the folder called archive2, and let's have a look at the Gutenberg file, which you remember contains the history, a brief period of English history. And I'm going to have a look at the file called out, and let's, fingers crossed, and there's an exact mirror image uh, of text, and I think I think the file has a size of something like a megabyte, so it's quite a big file, and it did all happen very, 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 very quickly, as you'd expect a computer to be able to copy a file very, very quickly. So I'm going to close this file down, and I'm going to close this down, and what I'm actually going to do now is simply I'm going to close Eclipse down. So this is Eclipse's visible um, uh, uh, phase. So I've closed that down, and just for you being able to become slightly familiar with Eclipse, I'm going to type Eclipse, and I'm afraid Eclipse takes quite a bit of time just to load. Let me do this. So I'm going to invoke Eclipse and show you what it looks like when I invoke it. So this is the very latest version of Eclipse, and it's the IDE, it's the development environment for Java developers. This is what you need to install, and it's the 2020 September version that I want you to think about. So I'm going to run that, and as I said, it takes a number of a number of seconds to load. But what I'm actually going to do is to load from a workspace that I know about. So it's called workspace C file, and I'll just launch that. And okay, so it's loading, but it takes, as I said, a significant amount of time to do that. And whilst we're at it, pardon my very busy desktop. There's a lot of files on there, and that's how I do it. The one thing I want to show you is if you go to run, and I go to run configurations, then if I click on arguments here, I can actually specify the two files by enclosing them in inverted commas. So this is the source file that we want to be copied. This is the path name of where yielding the whereabouts of the file, and this is the path of the destination file. It's called copied dot. Oh no, it's called copied text. I think I've. Let me just have a look. Okay, so I'm going to go back to. Oh dear. Go back to copied text and just see whether it has in fact been copied as I promised it would be. So let me see. No, where is it? There's got out, but no files called. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do, just to convince the audience, I'm going to go to archive2, and I'm going to create an empty file called. I'm going to create a file called. Let me see. Let's create an empty text file. So new text file, and what do I want to call it? Copied. So it's text document, and I'm going to call it copied.txt. Okay, so there's nothing in there. Let me show you. I'm not a magician. um, okay, where is it? Copied. Okay, no, the out was there all along the time. So, and I think I did show you. So out has been um, has received the original file, so there's no problems. But let me just find copied text. So copied text is empty. What I'm going to do is simply to run the program again and see what's in copied. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, okay, copied. No, this is very confusing. So went to copied. Okay, so I'm going to just change this very slightly, just to go to copy it into the file called copied text, and I'm going to run this. So let me run it, and it needs to be saved um, before, because I've made changes. So I'm going to uh, go OK, and now I'm actually going to run the file, and hopefully I'll get a done sign at some point. Yeah, there it is. Now if we go to copied.txt, um, no, it's still empty. But what's actually happened is that it's being copied into this file here. Copied. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just slightly confusing myself because of all the operations I'm having to perform to give the demonstration. So I'm going to close that. But the point of my going to run and look at run configurations, my program uh, could have two parameters called args0 and args1. Args0 is going to be assigned this name of a path of a file, and args1 will be assigned this string um, as the value of that variable. And it just means, I'm going to close that. All it means is that instead of file input stream with this long name, I could have actually written, and so, let me just do this for you. I could have actually just written this, args 0, and the value of arg0 when you run the program is going to be exactly this string here, and the value of args1, so it's the second value of args, which is it's just like it's a vector of runtime parameters, and so instead of having to type all that out, I can just on on a one-time basis just put this into run configuration, and it's going to be assigned automatically the value of this first element of this vector args. So hopefully that sort of gives you a little bit of an idea of the Eclipse system. I mean, there are a lot of parameters, and it takes a fair amount of time to fully exploit all the features of this system. But hopefully that's been of some help to you. Okay, and I'll close it there.